Welcome to Tab Briefs, a weekly look at headlines from the world of faith for November 6th, 2020. I'm Tab Media Content Editor Carrie McWhorter, and there was only one topic that dominated headlines this week, so let's get started. Americans turned out in record numbers to vote on Tuesday, and that's our top story today. Early estimates suggest nearly 160 million voters, about two-thirds of the U.S. electorate, voted in the November 3rd presidential election on Tuesday. That likely makes 2020 the year with the highest percentage of voter turnout since 1900, when Republican William McKinley was re-elected with about three-fourths of American voters at the time casting a ballot. But 5 states remain uncalled as of this morning as Americans await the results of the 2020 presidential election. At issue is a record number of early votes and mail-in ballots, more than 100 million of them, pollsters say. Mail-in and early voting allows overseas military personnel and their families, the elderly, and others who are unable to cast their ballots on Election Day to participate in this very important civic process. But this year, with concerns about the coronavirus, millions more than normal chose to vote ahead of time or by mail. 43 states and the District of Columbia offer early voting, according to information published by the National Conference of State Legislatures. In many states, including Alabama, early voting means in-person absentee voting. Other states vary in their policies, but open some polling locations ahead of Election Day for voters to cast a ballot. 5 states allow all elections to be conducted by mail. But in most states, they don't begin to count those votes until Election Day, and states have different rules about when votes must arrive or be postmarked. We here at Tab Media have experienced with our own delivery of the newspaper this year, or in recent weeks, that the U.S. Postal Service has experienced some slowdowns, and those slowdowns concern many poll watchers in the weeks leading up to the election. Because of the rules in those states, it could be next week before we have a clear winner, and then court challenges could prolong the actual results. Next up, let's take a quick look at some of the faith-related ballot initiatives from around the U.S. that were voted on Tuesday. Mississippi Baptist Convention Board leader Sean Parker applauded his white, blue, and gold design featuring a white magnolia and the words, "In God We Trust." The new flag replaces the state's retired flag, which included the Confederate emblem. Mississippi was the final state to include the Confederate emblem on its flag since Georgia changed its flag a few years ago. Of the new design, Parker said, "We believe that the new flag design is an accurate reflection of Mississippi's focus on faith and family, and we also think that it is a better representation of the entire state." The Mississippi legislature must now vote in its 2021 session to approve the new design now that voters have spoken. Mississippi voters also legalized medical marijuana, as did voters in South Dakota. Voters in 4 states legalized marijuana. In Louisiana, voters approved a measure declaring that there is no state constitutional right to abortion or abortion funding. And in Alabama, voters reinforced stand-your-ground gun laws for churches in Alabama's Franklin and Lauderdale counties with constitutional amendments. While the churches were already stand-your-ground law, advocates said the new amendments give assurance to church members. Alabama voters also approved an amendment to remove racist language from the state constitution. And in Colorado, among other states, measures expanded gaming and gambling. Those other states included Maryland, Nebraska, and South Dakota, and those measures included racetrack, betting, gaming, sports betting, and charitable bingo and raffles. And finally, Southern Baptist leaders encourage Christians to be patient, pray, and trust God as they await the results of the race for the White House between President Donald Trump and Democratic challenger Joe Biden. SBC leaders have called on Christians to exercise their faith as they await the final results. SBC President J.D. Greear said, "As difficult as it is, waiting is what God has called us to right now." And he said that while the vote count continues, Christians can respond with empathy to those who are fearful or concerned about the results. Russell Moore, president of the SBC's Ethics and Religious Liberty Commission, said in a blog post that the time before knowing the winner of the presidential race can be a moment of spiritual and civic discipline for American Christians. We can pray for both President Trump and potentially a President-elect Biden, Moore wrote. However you voted, or if you voted at all, you can pray for the office of the president in a way that is not dictated by how you feel about either of these men. You can pray for wisdom and justice and discernment for whomever is ultimately certified as winner. He went on to write, you can realize that whether you are celebrating or grieving when that happens, somewhere approaching half of the country in which you live will be doing the opposite. That means whoever is president will need even more wisdom and prudence and discernment, and more of a sense of limits to what's possible than usual. Those are your tab briefs for Friday, November 6, 2020. For more news from the world of faith, head over to tabonline.org or check us out on social media. While you're at our website, check out our podcasts. We also have stories of persecuted believers across the globe and so very much more. For more than 175 years, the Alabama Baptist has been telling the story of believers in Alabama and beyond. Whose source you can trust is just as strong as ever. Thanks for joining us today, and here at Tab Media, we hope you all have a wonderful weekend.